All right, I'd like to welcome everyone inside Sunset Lanes for the 25th NDBowling.com Classic. We are just finishing up our position round, and they are compiling scores, so we'll determine our top 5. I'm Darren Sini with NDBowling.com, joined once again by Ken Fletcher. Ken, welcome to NDBowlTV.
Thank you for having me as always, Darren. It's a pleasure to be in my home center again.
Very nice. Well, here we are. We're waiting for the final scores. We do know a few people that are already in the show. Andy Mills is the 1 or the 2, and Clayton Moore is the 1 or the 2. And after that, it gets kind of sticky.
That was a very dicey finish to position round. I think Tad Schmidt is going to be our 3 seed. I think he got enough there, and beyond that, it's anybody's guess right now.
It's really close between Mike Allen, Justin Costa, Nick Heilemann.
And yep, those 3, it'll probably 10, 20 pins at most.
So once we get, I think they're turning. Are they turned on the right lane there, or what?
Oh, that pair always stays on. Don't even worry about that.
Yeah, because 11 and 12 is our championship pair. So, and we'll be underway with our first match here shortly. While we wait, I want to remind all of our fans out there that Ebonite is the official bowling ball sponsor of NDBowlTV. And make sure you hit the subscribe button on your YouTube player. That would be greatly appreciated. Hit that like button on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. And we got a nice little announcement here for everyone. Our next show will be at the Midwest Youth Championships in August. And we'll be joined in the booth by Tom Doherty, and you'll be there with us.
Yes, I will. That's going to be one heck of a fun day, I think.
So for those of you marking on your calendars, that'll be a fun one to note. The Rebel will be in the booth with us. So we're about to start our stepladder finals. We got kind of an early start today. The storm, we kind of wanted to get everyone in here by 8 o'clock and started, and there were 16 people that made the cut, so it was 2 groups of 8, so it was a 8-game match play round, so got done a little quicker, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you out of everybody should be okay with that. You're a long 4-hour drive back home. Well, hopefully 4-hour drive, I should say.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess. If anybody is out there in the chat room already, please let us know how the quality of the sound is and everything else. We'll obviously have some bowling on the screen here for you shortly. Once again, we're just waiting on the staff here at Sunset Lanes to compile the final scores. I do know that a few spots are really close, so they're going to add, recheck, and make sure everything is right. So let's talk about the qualifying round, shall we? We had 51 bowlers here yesterday, I think a lot of which the storm had a lot to do with. A lot of the guys out west didn't make the trip out here in the thought that that's storm that's going to dump a foot of snow out in western North Dakota here shortly.
Yeah, that's probably the prevailing theory, is we lost quite a few bowlers from that. But, you know, that's what we deal with living where we do. We always joke it's not a bowling tournament if there's not a storm around.
That is true, and we did have a few of our Minnesota friends out bowling the city tournament in St. Paul, so a few of our entries went out there, and then we had quite a few out here watching. So,
Yeah, we did.
Well, if any of you out there are watching now, you want to bowl the NDBowling.com Classic in future years, just keep in mind you can go to NDBowling.com. We do have all sorts of posters for tournaments and listings and stuff like that. And there's still some tournaments yet to go this year, like the Hemi Bowl up in Minot next weekend, which is a fun tournament. So
absolutely.
If you're out there watching and want to bowl a tournament, just head over to NDBowling.com. We got some good tournaments coming up. All right, top 5 announcement. Clayton Moore is the top. Andy Mills 2. Tad Schmidt's the 3. And Nick Heilemann and Justin Costa. It will be our first match. So, you know what that means? 2 of my picks made the show.
And the only 2 that did bowl as well.
Yes, the other 3 decided they were going to bowl city tournament. So, the 2 that made it or did bowl, they made the show. So, I got a good record this year.
That's pretty good. I will give you that.
People like to give me a little flack for the bold predictions, but it's a fun little thing to enter in the preview every year. So
Yeah, why not? You know, throw out some names. You know, gotta have somebody in there you don't expect, like Justin Coast, who is bowling really well this year, but
yep.
nobody seems to realize it. And
Yeah, because it seems like at CMA he's top 15 every year.
yeah,
but,
absolutely.
But hasn't gotten to the show, so that's why I figured, okay, home house.
Yeah,
Well, let's make it happen.
few people bowl better than he does in this house.
So our first match will feature Justin Coast out of Fargo Moorhead here, and then champion of 2 years ago, Nick Heilemann. And Nick is the higher seed, so he'll choose, and we'll get these lanes fired up, right? Or are we?
Eventually. Yeah, looks like Lonnie's heading back to go do it, so he should be good to go here in a minute.
Yeah, we have our competitors waiting, you know. Again, Nick Heilemann versus Justin Coast. Coast making his first appearance on NDBowlTV.
All right, so on 11 and 12, we'll have Justin and Nick Heilemann. Take a couple practice bowls each, then we'll get going.
Yeah, they'll do their 2 on each lane. Again, Nick won the Classic here 2 years ago. He won the Morris Anderson Memorial last year, and then finished runner-up to Matt McNeil just a month and a half ago.
Obviously no stranger to shows here. Justin making his first. I mean, I think we have 2 people officially making their first show on NDBowlTV, but you know, none of these guys are strangers to this atmosphere, that's for sure.
Yep, Tad Schmidt's major winner. He won the K-Fire a couple years ago. Clayton Moore won the Morris on NDBowlTV.
Yep.
Andy Mills won here last year, so defending champion is the number 2 seed. He's going to have to earn it if he wants to win it again. So.
Yep. You know, led most of the day, but scores were tight for everybody up until that position round, as is evidenced by who made the show. Justin coming from the 7th spot, having to throw all 3 intents just to tie Mike Larson, and it was barely enough to squeak him in.
Yeah, very close. Because if he wouldn't have struck to tie, he wouldn't have got the bonus 15 pins. So that's one good thing to note. And I think just finishing outside the show would be Mike Allen, Thomas Wolf, right around those 2 guys.
Yeah, I
Larson
think,
is close too.
Yep, Mike had a nice game to finish up there, probably in 8th place. But yeah, it was a 3-horse race for that last spot, and tight matches all the way around. It was one of the more fun position rounds to watch.
And we would like to give props out to Sunset Lanes for coming in, opening up an hour early today to get us started on time. And plus, I think they're working pretty hard getting the checks out to everyone so they can get home, because a lot of people have already scattered.
Yeah. Anybody that's going west, I think, wants to get out of here as soon as they can right now.
And we had John Breckel, Jeremiah Smith. They're from out in Bismarck, so they're going to head out. And once we wrap up the show, we're going to tear down very quickly, and I'm going to get out of here.
Yep.
And hopefully make it home before most of the bad stuff hits. Which it seems to be okay so far. Everything's holding off out there, but you know, the North Dakota winter, anything can happen.
That's for sure.
Well, here we are. Looks like Justin's going to start our match on lane 11. Making his debut on NDBowlTV.
Ooh, late messenger for Justin.
Late kick. Get our scores up there for you, and it looks like the scores are a little different, so we'll have to alter that. 1 second.
Nice opening shot for Nick there.
The lone clap by Andy Mills. I think Nick has a few more fans on watching on NDBowlTV than in person?
Oh, more than a couple, I'm sure.
All right, let's see if we can get a score up here now. There we go.
Another nice shot.
I want to mention something here because I noticed it while I was watching old shows the other day, just kind of looking back to see how our shows went this year. And when Nick was in Minot, he bowled in every match. He started with the 5, went all the way. Unfortunately, lost to Matt McNeil in the final. But he went 40 clean.
Really?
4 games, no opens.
That's pretty impressive on
and counting.
on a
So
show.
we're at 42 consecutive. And I don't know, maybe he had clean frames before that. I don't know.
That's probably a pretty good bet, I think.
So impressive to say the least on NDBowlTV, clean frames at least 42. Shot for Justin.
Nice.
Believe that's a haywire, Storm haywire.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of his favorites.
And the victory road he still throws, I know that.
Yeah, I'll give him a shout out on that. The noodle, you know, if he can't get anything else to work, he'll bring that thing out.
Yep. Try to get a view of what Nick's thrown here. Maybe the
Looks like a true Nirvana, I believe.
Nirvana, yeah. 10.
Yikes. We'll say we've been sitting here for quite a while. This has been a pretty decent pair today. You know, a lot of good scores out there, but it's also bad you can't get away with going that far left.
And again, if you're out there watching right now, if you could please share our live stream with everyone on social media. Send out a tweet. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on your YouTube player. That'd be greatly appreciated. Unfortunately, YouTube has changed their partner program, so little channels like us can't make pennies off of the advertisements anymore. You have to have 1,000 subscribers, and we only have about half of that. So if you'll hit that subscribe button, that would help a lot.
Yeah, it'll get there eventually.
Yeah, Ken and I have been talking about trying to get some more content out on our YouTube page, so look forward to that. We're might be documenting our trip out to Syracuse this year, so we'll give you an inside look at our road trip across the country to the USBC Open Championship. So
that'll that'll cover a little bit of ground. That'll be a good time.
Kind of fills that gap there because after today we don't go back on live bowling action until August. So
Ooh,
a lucky break there to get the 10 out.
Looks like he maybe drifted a little bit too far right on that. But hey, easy spare.
For most of us.
Well, that's true. For these guys, it's an easy spare. For us, maybe not.
Again, we're in our first match here. Winner will take on number 3 seed Tad Schmidt, and then followed by number 2 seed Andy Mills and the top seed Clayton Moore. So exciting matches coming up. Coast here in the 5th. Late kick in the 7.
Nice.
It's been fortunate to carry those hits.
Yeah.
He carried a hit just like that in the match against Larson that ended up
being a,
very, very crucial. I think it was a 9th frame.
Yeah, 8th or 9th frame he carried one pretty much like that, and I think he threw out the last 6 or so to end up tying Mike.
And then at the same time, he finished his match, and then unfortunately Mike Allen left a Greek church in the 10th to open the 10th, and then I haven't gotten a final sheet yet, but
it had to be, you know.
We'll see how close it is.
I bet 5 pins.
All right, we got the final sheet. Thank you, Trevor. 3 pins.
3 pins.
Mike Allen missed
right.
by 3, and he left a Greek church in the 10th to open the 10th frame for 199. And then Thomas Wolf was behind him by about 20, so.
A little wide there. I think Nick's kind of fortunate on that one.
And the other qualifiers, so we had Mike Allen in 6th, Thomas Wolf in 7th, Mike Larson in 8th. Casey Sabinger, the lone lefty today, in 9th. Trevor Yonan in 10th. Randy Peterson, 11th. Jeremiah Smith, 12th. Robbie Sherbo in 13th. John Breckel, 14th. Jared Schmidt, 15th. And then Zuba's Ryan Selk in 16th. So congratulations to all.
Oh,
That's an unfortunate break there for Nick.
yeah, that's one of those spares. I think I almost chop that more than I make it.
It happens in bowling, though. It's sometimes you don't get all the lucky breaks, and I think that might have been I think we cursed him. Because now he's got 2 opens on NDBowlTV after he went 42 clean.
Yeah.
So. Our apologies, Nick. When you watch this.
Oof, that's okay.
He's getting fortunate, though, to
Yeah,
leave
just
makeables.
leave single pins. Yeah, I mean, you know, more often than not, you get on a show and you shoot a clean 2-teen, 220, and you're going to win. And that's the way it's kind of going right now. Easy spare.
And again, Nick Heilemann, our winner 2 years ago out of Wisconsin. Justin Coase here in town, making his NDBowlTV debut. Got Team NDBowling.com member Tad Schmidt coming up in the next match.
Can see him throwing practice off to the left there. It's close. Yep. Good shot from Justin there.
Well, up in Minot on our show a few weeks ago, we saw when Nick needed a double, he was able to go up there and throw some pretty good shots.
It's another nice one. It seems like if you get it right early, it'll usually check up. It's just whether you'll carry or not. But it's when you get it right way down lane that it's almost never going to make it back on this pattern.
And speaking of the pattern, we are bowling on Kegel's Audubon pattern, which is a 2.44 to 1 ratio, 42-foot pattern. Cut yesterday was 36 over, which was Tad Schmidt. So
he was the number, wasn't he?
Yep. Just missing the cut was, I think, Jack Nelson.
Jack Nelson at 23 over, I believe, was our alternate.
And it kind of dropped down to the single digits there. So really only, right about half of the field was plus, which is kind of what you want in a tournament. So
yeah, like I was telling everybody, it played about where I think we were, everyone was hoping, but scores ended up being pretty good. We had 1-300 with Jeremiah Smith yesterday, and Andy Mills led, I believe, 245 over.
Yeah, he
if
had
I
a
remember
really
right.
good block.
He bowled really well yesterday. It was kind of expected, I think. Kind of a big shot for Justin right here. He can about slam the door if he strikes. Just a little left.
Yeah.
Just sat there.
Got the spinner. He's got the spinner going today.
He does. It's funny watching some of the guys. We were commenting on Randy Peterson, how he kind of throws a little spinner and how he can carry those light ones. Justin's kind of got that same role, almost like a Mike Morris role.
Yep.
And, Mike is,
well known around these areas.
That's putting it nicely. And a 3-time champion here. But, they carry the light one just like that better than anybody. And
well, it looks like Costa is going to be moving on here.
Throwing a pretty solid game. I mean, in the 230s already.
Yeah, Nick can only max out at 212, so.
It's always good to see Nick on a show again, but just, ran into a big game this time.
Yep. Sounds like I'm losing my voice here. Hopefully it can hold off another hour here, and then we'll be good. Wow.
I was almost going to say just, insult to injury right there if that stands up.
Another good tournament for Nick. Another good showing. I think he did he make our show last year, or I think he missed our show last year because
I think he
won.
was just on the outside. Yeah, if I remember.
So 2 shows in 3 years here at the Classic. So another good showing for him. Back-to-back shows in Minot. So
It's kind of what you would expect, I guess. You know, he's as consistent and as solid as anybody out there.
yeah, I would agree with you there.
And I mean, even right here, you know, 212 with the strike, that's nothing to be really upset about. You know, you come out here and give him 212, he's probably going to take that more often than not.
I would agree with you. All right, well, Tad Schmidt making his way to the championship pair here as we prepare for our quarterfinal match. Not official yet, but
Just need a few pins here.
stay behind the line there, Justin. And another
That'll be
late
good.
hit. So Justin Coast will move on to play Tad Schmidt. Tad Schmidt out of Devil's Lake. Home builder up there, Team NDBowling.com member. And the winner of the KFYR TV Bowling Classic just a couple years ago, 3 years ago.
It wasn't last year, it was the year before, so
Yeah, 3 years ago.
16, yeah.
Because Smallin won in 15, so Tad won in 16, yeah.
Yep.
As we like to call him, Caveman.
And everybody will see what we mean here shortly, I'm sure.
Tad's a good guy. Well, as Justin is finishing out his 10th frame here, we just want to remind everyone that Ebonite is the official bowling ball sponsor of NDBowlTV. And you can stay connected to us on social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and please hit that subscribe button on your YouTube page. Once again, ooh, losing the voice here. Our next show will be in Alexandria, Minnesota, joined by Tom Doherty, August 12th. All right. Do we have a sheet from yesterday at all?
You know what? I'm sure we can probably find one around here.
Yeah, let's see if we can find one. We can go over a few qualifying scores. And again, Tad will get 2 shots on each lane here. And lane choice. Again, share our show with everyone you know on social media. And we do have a sheet. I'm going to save my voice. I'm going to let Ken kind of read off the scores here.
I can do that. Yeah, Andy Mills led the way with an 1845, even with a 180 his last game. Just, I know we, you know, smaller house than most venues, so we got to cross with him a couple times, and, you know, he had it all day. Robbie Sherbo, is that how you say that?
Yes.
Okay, glad I got that right. With an 1860, same thing, you know, and he had a 144 game 6. So that shows how well he bowled. Jared Schmidt in 3rd, Trevor Yonan in 4th, Randy Peterson in 5th, tied with Ryan Selk actually. John Breckel in 6th with the 1704, Thomas Wolf in 8th, excuse me, with an even 1700. So 8 guys with 100 over on this pattern. That's a little surprising, but, you know, we both bowled on it, and you can see how that could happen.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All the way down to, yep, Tad Schmidt was the number with 1636, and Jack right behind him with 1623.
Yeah, so pretty decent scores. Nothing out of the ordinary.
No, definitely not. You know, and we were saying yesterday, too, after it was done, it was a nice diversity of where people came from that made the cut.
That is true, yeah, from all over.
You know, a lot of local guys with, you know, Justin and Mike. You know, you have Tad from Devil's Lake. You know, the Wisconsin guys, obviously. You know, a couple guys from Bismarck that made it as well. So, yeah, it is, you know, it's nice to see that. Even Canada guys.
Yeah.
Almost forgot that.
Yeah, Robbie was in there.
It's a nice shot from Justin.
Another guy making his NDBowlTV debut, Tad Schmidt here. He already struck there on the left lane, so up in the second. Looks in.
Yep. You know we love to joke about it, but if you watch Tad, I don't think there's anybody who posts a shot better and more consistently than he does.
I would agree with that.
You know, Nick comes close. I mean, he, you know, once in a great while, you know, maybe fall out of it, but I don't know if in the time that we've bowled with him, I don't think I've ever seen Tad fall out of a shot once.
Yeah, very consistent. Unfortunately for Tad, they closed down the bowling center up in Devil's Lake, so he told us he's been driving out to Grand Forks and bowling league with his daughter who's in college, so at least he's getting some games in, and obviously it hasn't hurt him. He's here on our show today, so.
Yeah, and I don't think he was too terribly far off at K-Fire as well a couple weeks ago.
Good shot there.
Nice. It's like he's trying to keep it a little tighter than Nick was. You know, they're playing pretty similar areas.
Defending champion Andy Mills warming up over on lane 7. He'll be in our next match, our semifinal. Once again, Clayton Moore is our top seed, so he'll be looking for his second separate major as well.
Ooh, that's wide. Yeah, I think he's okay with that. I would be.
Yeah, it's one of those. Please just stay out there. Got our little sheet on our oil pattern here. What we're bowling on, again, it's Kegel's Audubon pattern, a 2.44 to 1 ratio sport compliant pattern. 42 feet. 25, almost 26 mils there, and it held up really nice here.
Yeah,
at Sunset. We only had 4 people to a pair, but it held up pretty nice for the 8 games.
You know, I think I was, I only had to move about 7 or 8 boards all day, which, you know, for an 8-game tournament, that's, for me, that's kind of unheard of. But yeah, you know, it held up really well. Today it's held up really well as well. I mean, you know, quite often we'll see guys that are, you know, inside 5th arrow when we get on TV, and we still may with Clayton and Andy, but, you know, you can see where Justin's playing and what he did last game. And it's, you know, it's what you would hope for. You know, it didn't blow apart, so it's always a good sign.
Yeah, I very rarely saw a pair where things just kind of jumped on you or something you weren't expecting. And there was one pair, I think, from pair to pair, what I noticed is that it depended on who started there and where they played to start. Some lanes were a little tighter and didn't have as much friction to the right, where other pairs had a little more friction to the right. And I think it had a lot to do with who started there, what they were using, and kind of where they were playing. So
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. And you know, the other thing that I think doesn't get used a lot. It's a nice shot from Tad, by the way. You know, you go to most tournaments and they move the entire pair. You know, we'll move 2 pairs over. Well, what they've done here quite often, I know in a couple of years they've used the whole move the pair, but they do the right lane moves right and the left lane moves left. So what I think that does personally, it evens everything out where, you know, if you get the right pair to follow, you can shoot some big scores and, you know, see what, you know, Andy did up at CMA.
Yep.
But, checked up a little early on.
One good thing to note is out of the 4 major championships in Winnipeg, they do a left, right thing there as well. But then the CMA and at the K-Fire, you move as a pair. And then we come to this one, and it's a left, right. So you kind of get a little bit of both if you bowled all 4 of our big tournaments here.
Okay.
So it's interesting to see how the lanes progress at each one.
Oh,
got 4.
Got 4. That's, well, helps a little with count at least, but I've always liked the left, right, because like I said, you don't have, you know, one pair just going wild because of who they follow. It's, like I said, it blends it out more and it makes everything more even.
Looks like we're going to have a guest in our booth here.
All right. Works for me.
Coming in from La Crosse, Wisconsin, Nick Heilemann. Nick, congratulations on a 5th place finish and welcome back to NDBowlTV.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
All right, well, take us through your match.
They're getting tougher. The 3rd frame that I went through I actually thought I threw that really good. Then kind of after that, I kind of yelled over at Andy to see, because I know he was down here before, and if he had the right lane hooking more, and he didn't think so. They're just getting to the point where they're tricky, where you have to be in to have enough angle through the fronts, but there's not enough volume in the middle that you really have any defined hold. And I think thinking back, I think I rolled that one up the back a little bit more, and it just read early. I think you really need to. You have to stay with. You can't get away with different releases. If you're going to get up the back of it, and that's where you're playing, you got to be it. And if you get around the side of it there, it's going to float on you and go 60 feet. But if you're trying to get around the side and you accidentally get one up the back, it's going to do just like mine and check and go through the fronts.
Yeah, and Ken and I were just talking about the pattern and how it played yesterday, and pretty similar.
Yeah, I thought it's a real good one. And to start both days outside, you know, looked like a really good look, and I could spend 2 games out there yesterday and about the same today. And then it's just like there's not enough volume there, so when the track kind of develops, you can't still stay right of it. It eats enough of it away that you get slower, get anything left, it goes away, and then you have to start moving in, and then it's just it's tricky all day. It's tricky, and you have to stay on top of it.
Well, you got your teammate Andy Mills coming up next in our semifinal match, and then Clayton Moore in the final. So, you know, they're all going to be playing pretty far left. Yeah. So, how do you feel like our championship pair is going to progress as the finals go on here?
I kind of think you're at the point where it's going to start getting easier and easier for those guys that are slower and really kind of get on it, like Andy and Clayton. You know, Clayton kind of struggled to start the day, and then he really came on at the end. And kind of looking through scores yesterday, I think it kind of got that way at the end too, where scores were cut was going down, and then like the last 2, I think it jumped up a good amount. I think you finally got far enough left, so you had enough angle through the fronts that would give you a little bit of miss left.
Oh, good shot there for Tad. Got a pretty close match here in our quarterfinal. Again, we got Nick Heilemann in the booth with us. He won the Classic a couple years ago. Runner-up at the CMA this year. No stranger to NDBowlTV, that's for sure. As well as your teammate coming up here. He was a defending champion of this tournament. Good shot there for Justin.
I'm curious to see how well his line holds up, because he's playing way further right than anybody else is.
And his look has looked pretty good all day when I've kind of been around him. I think he must have hit some tricky pairs in there, because he's looked like he's thrown the ball really well all day. There's never any air in shots or anything that's out the window. He's always kind of right there today.
And he's got that like spinner roll to where he carries the light hits like we were talking about earlier on the show.
That's a nice shot there. I know he said he ran into trouble on 17 and 18, where he had 17 hooking a lot more than 18. And I think he had 170 one game, but other than that, I mean, what we've seen, it's been exactly what he's doing right now.
I think it's that pair. 17-18 was brutal yesterday for a couple of us, so I was kind of happy I never hit it today.
I think, where did I shoot a $1.55? Was it 17 and 18?
Because that was game 6. Yeah, I think it was that pair, actually, now that you say it.
Yeah, the one game that cost me the cut was on 17 and 18.
It's a nice shot for Tad to stay with him.
I recall in that game leaving a bucket on the left lane, going to the right, leaving a bucket. So then I try to tighten everything up and go 4-pin, 4-pin.
Yeah, I remember that.
So you just wasted 4 frames right there, and now I'm fishing because I don't have a look anymore. So amazing what these patterns can do to you sometimes. All right, big shot here for Tad. Throwing the Storm Sonic, it looks like.
It's pretty close. Ooh.
I think he liked that one off his hand, too.
Yeah. You can see when he gets it just far enough right that it's going to set in nice, but unfortunate there.
It's kind of like the same thing. Like, he just doesn't have as much tilt as Justin does, so it kind of gets to the pocket, but it doesn't throw the pins around as much as Justin gets when he gets to that same pocket.
Yep. Well, strike here can not quite lock him out, but that'd be a big setup for him. That's right.
Yep.
It's okay, though. You make a spare, you still give yourself a chance to double the win.
Yeah, and the ball's in his court. He'll be finishing first here, so I'll make the spare. Again, if you're just joining us, please share the stream on social media. Let everyone you know. We're going live. We're in our quarterfinal match. We got 2 matches left. Andy Mills is awaiting the winner of this one, and Clayton Moore is our top seed. I'm Darren Sini with NDBowling.com, joined by Kent Fletcher, and a guest in the booth today is Nick Heilemann, winner of the tournament a couple years ago.
It's a little whoopsie shot from Justin. Looked like he maybe got fast with his feet or something.
Well, Tad can step up and win this match now. Ooh.
Just gets the 8 out.
Say that could have been really interesting.
Well, I mean, you know, still need, what, 8 pins? 9 pins to force a double at least.
And Nick, I will say, I think I put the kiss of death on you. at the CMA show, you went 40 clean in all your matches. You never had an open on TV up at CMA about a month and a half ago. And then you went strike here, and I was like, he's got 42 clean in a row on NDBowlTV, and then he opens.
Pretty quick.
So I apologize for that. The booth jinx happens quite a bit, I've noticed.
Well, that's live. Well, your preview jinx is over because you picked Andy, and he actually made the top 5.
Yeah, 2 of the people that I picked in the top 5, the only 2 that bowled are on our show, so the other guys decided to bowl another tournament down in the city, so
It's pretty
Tad's
close.
gotta have it.
It's a good shot from Tad.
Clutch shot there. All right, gotta have this one in 3, huh? Pretty quiet in here.
Close again. That was nice.
Got it. Great shot for Tad. So to stay behind the line here, and he'll be moving on to take on defending champion Andy Mills. What do you see from Andy coming up?
I don't know if he lost his look late there or if he just hit a bad pair down on 3 and 4 for that position round, but that true nirvana that he's got, it's got a limit as to how far deep he can get with it, because it wants to roll so much in the mids that it just doesn't save any energy for the back. And he can trick it and get around the side of it and kind of tilt it a little bit more to kind of make up for it, but he didn't have to do that all day and most of the day yesterday. He could just, stay with his A game and not have to worry about trying to do anything funny to it at the bottom to get that reaction that he's looking for. So it'll kind of depend if it was just that pair down in 3 and 4 that gave him fits, or if the actual transition is actually getting to him now.
Yeah, because he was leading the tournament today for the whole day, and then Clayton jumped him there in position round. So we'll kind of see what happens here. And while we have a brief minute, I do want to remind everyone that Ebonite is the official bowling ball sponsor of NDBowlTV. I want to thank the guys in Hopkinsville, Sean Morris, Rob Gottschall, all the guys helping us out. Do appreciate it. You're watching NDBowlTV, the High Plains Bowling Network, and you can stay connected to us on Facebook. Hit the like button, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to the YouTube page. Quick reminder that our next show will be in Alexandria, Minnesota in August at the Midwest Youth Championships, and we'll be joined by the Rebel, Tom Doherty, in the booth with us, so you'll want to tune in for that one. I know Ken and I are both pretty excited to be able to visit with him that day. He'll be bowling the Pro-Am the night before as well, so if you're in the Alexandria area this summer and want to get a little bit of bowling in, come out to Garden Center Lanes. That Saturday night will be the Pro-Am and open to adults as well.
It'd be fun to get a different perspective on things compared to Walter Ray last year.
Yeah, we sat with Walter Ray for about 6 hours on the stream last summer, and it was nice talking to him, and very knowledgeable guy in the game of bowling, I can tell you that.
Well, as long as he's been around, it's hard not to be.
Yeah, to have that much success over all the different phases of bowling over the years, it's impressive.
And it's fun to get to see him at Pro-Am. Did he bowl at your Pro-Am? It's fun to get to see it because everybody that sees them on TV just goes up 5, up 10. But then you get to see him in person, or you go and see, if you ever go and watch a PBA event like when the Masters was in Milwaukee was close, a lot of our people could see it. And he'll play anywhere, and even a couple weeks ago he was bowling two-handed, and it's not a fluke. He does it. He practices it. It's he can do it. He can play 4th, 5th, 6th arrow when he needs to. It's just that you never see it on TV, so a lot of people think it's a one-trick pony, and in fact he's about the farthest from that as you could imagine.
Well, you don't win what do we say, 100
combined
PBA
regional
and senior titles without being able to do anything you want.
I did find it funny how he mentioned how, when he first came out on tour, he lost his first 11 matches on TV, and he's still that successful, but he went through the growing pains just like all the other guys do on tour. All right, so gearing up here for our semifinal match. Again, we're joined in the booth by, what would it be, 2016 champion Nick Heilemann. I get my years mixed up because they all kind of float together here. So, again, Nick is not Nick, but Andy is our defending champion. These guys have all the Glenn Haynes Memorial trophies, so they're looking to add another one to the shelf. You gonna have room in your pro shop for all these, or?
No, if you've seen my pro shop, you know there's no room for anything in there. It's 92 square feet, and I've been in there for 15 years.
Really?
So,
Jeez.
There was a coat closet before that 15 years ago. They said, "You want to put a pro shop in here?" Yeah, I do.
Okay, all right, why not?
So those of you down in Wisconsin, go see Nick to get some new equipment. Out of La Crosse, correct?
Correct.
What's your home house?
Yep.
So what's that called?
Playmore Lanes in La Crosse.
Very nice. That one checked up early on him.
Mm-hmm.
So you and Andy have been bowling together for quite a while?
Yeah, probably since about 2009, 2008, I think, is when he got out of junior leagues and started wanting to go, had the itch, was kind of, was the local wonder in junior leagues, and kind of quick there's a big transition from going in juniors and being, a good league bowler, and they kind of look at him and go, you need to get out of league stuff and, get out of lacrosse and get, don't be the best youth bowler in lacrosse. Get around and get beat at a lot of things and see what real competitive good bowlers are doing across the Midwest and learn from that. And
Yeah, that's really good advice for a lot of junior bowlers out there watching right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, it never hurts to get out, go throw a tournament. I mean, we had, was it just one junior bowler bowl
Jamie
yesterday?
Craig was here.
And, I mean, you know, for his age, he has been one of the better bowlers, but, you know, you come up to this level, and it's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, I think when he crossed with us on 1 and 2 the last game yesterday, he's like, I think I might have won a high game pot, and he had like 240. I was like,
no,
that would have done it back in your junior tournaments, but that's not going to happen here. So a little learning curve for him, but it was nice to see him out here, and hopefully Jamie and a few other youth bowlers will come out and give it a chance next year. So
I like that about their SMART program too, so you can get in, and if tournaments are running it or will do it, that they can come in and get some experience out of it. If they're bowl well enough to make the cut, then they got something to put towards their schooling, but it gives them an opportunity to get out of, you know, if you want to get better, you have to bowl against better people. You're not going to be the best junior bowler out there by always bowling in junior tournaments.
Yeah.
ooh, little shaker 7 there for Tad Schmidt. Again, Tad qualified 3rd out of Devils Lake, North Dakota. Looks like we got a little delay here on our scores. Our score cam is kind of starting to go on me.
Well, good spare.
Well, let's see if we can. Well, there it went. All right. Oh, I guess our score cam is kind of finicky today.
It's funny when it happens, which is all too often, it seems.
I think I have a trick we might have to try here on that.
Oof.
Nonetheless, you're going to see the bowling is still moving, so that's good. This looks like we got a little bit of a delay on the scores, so we're going to try something here.
Another good spare for Tad, just keeping it in the pocket at least.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's the problem you're going to get into getting in there now. Threw one the frame before, either a little slow or a little in, goes through the face, make a move in, and now it's going to be harder to get the corner pins out.
Looked like he was filling around with a couple different balls over on the practice lane. Do you think he maybe tries to make a move?
I was just thinking, you know, if we were in league or something,
Oh.
I'd say, you know, he's got a katana that will kind of get some traction in oil, but be much harder off the spot, that I think would look better on there.
And looks like he's doing something right now.
I'll go the opposite direction, go to a red quantum that's just a little longer, a little bit smoother around the corner for him. Saves more energy, but...
All right, let's see if we can get the scores up and running here. Kind of change the resolution so it processes a little quicker. I will say it's nice having a pro shop guy mind in the booth to kind of help us out with the equipment and what they're moving to.
Well, just another mind period, you know. We can say what we think, but to have somebody who's probably been in his head especially.
Yeah. I do remember last year, the way the pattern broke down last year was pretty crazy, and the scores on our show were fairly low. I do recall Andy shooting a decent game in the final, but there were a couple 180s that were winning and 170s, so a little bit different today. So the pattern kind of broke down a little more evenly.
It might be starting to get to that point from the look of it, but it's a little in. Oof. Tripping out about half the deck there.
I think he was fortunate enough to have a little bit of speed behind that ball.
But those are the breaks you need when you're trying to fiddle around and move in a little bit. You get it in, you need those to go, because it's going to be hard to make a move in and to really pure it and get it to go through the pins the right way.
Again, Tad was our winner at the KFYR-TV Bowling Classic about 3 years ago, so no stranger to the lights.
It's a little right, but it gets back enough. It's a big double.
So what do you think Andy's got to do here?
The problem is whatever I think Andy needs to do and whatever I see out of it and I tell him to do and he does it, it usually results in it being far worse than he was already doing. So I would like him to see him throw his katana that's going to still get some traction in the oil like his True Nirvana does, but it's going to be much harder off the spot and it's going to save more energy through the pins. That red Quantum, I think, is a little bit more oil sensitive where he needs it to see dry in order to start making the corner. And from being in that far, I just don't know if he can see enough dry to get that thing to move in the right spot. I think he'll do just like that, where he got it to the dry and it'll kind of fast 8 on him. And when he first threw it on 11, it looked pretty good, but it just never actually drove through the pins. It just deflected too much.
I think I had the same problem yesterday throwing the Ebonite Matrix. It's very, very sensitive off the spot, so if you got a little fast with it, it flat 10, and once it hit oil or hit the dry, it's through the face. So ball change there to the True Nirvana.
Well, probably fortunate for a 2-pin, but like that was a left move too.
Again, Clayton Moore is waiting in our championship match. Following the conclusion of the championship match, we'll have a word with the winner, hand out a big piece of hardware over here, and then we're going to tear down and be on our way. Hopefully I can get home before things get too bad outside.
Is it supposed to be worse up by you or down
Oh, yeah.
here?
Yep.
It's always worse up by you.
Always.
It's pretty close.
Shot.
From Tad.
Yeah, I think, what do they say, like 12 to 16 up near Minot?
Yeah, that's what I've seen, yeah.
And a lot of wind. But that's bowling in the high plains. It's what you got to deal with. I was joking with people the other day. I've only been stranded at a tournament location once in all these years of traveling, and it was at this tournament back in 2015. And it was blizzard conditions out there on I-94 and 29, so they closed the interstates, and I couldn't get home.
Oh, yes.
I think we made it. We made it to Valley City, and the visibility was so bad we could only see about 10, 15 feet in front of the car. And
yikes.
That's kind of our first treat going to Minot for the CMA. Was we went to Bismarck and then turned north. About a half hour into that, it was just snowing and white out, and you couldn't see more, and it was minus. So I know the defroster was going as fast as it could go, and you still couldn't see out there. We're going, why did we want to drive 11 hours for this?
yeah, I remember that year because it seemed like it didn't snow anywhere else in North Dakota except like the lake and spots north to Minot. There was just a big pocket of snow, and everyone said it was clear all the way up until Bismarck, and then once you started heading north, it was awful. And going home from Winnipeg this year was no treat either. So.
Yes.
All right, Mills now up in the 7th. Got to get something going here.
Thinks he gets a good one, and that happens.
This looks all too familiar to a game I had yesterday. I had a clean 190 with 8, 9 spares, something like that.
Yeah, I remember that. You know, though, with that open from Tad in the 7th, if he can throw one right here, maybe find a couple, you never know.
Yeah, and Andy will be finishing this match first, so he can punch out here and make Tad think about it.
it's not going to be easy. I mean, it's not going to be easy to stay in Tad's shoes and to say, oh, I just have to stay clean. Because you can't do anything but really focus on what you're trying to do, your mark, your speed, all that stuff. Because if you think, oh, I just need to fill frames, well, the way this pattern is going, it'll bite you real fast.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's almost easy to be Andy, where you know you have to be aggressive and you have to strike. You're down pins, but you've only got one goal, is you need to strike out.
There you go, get one there, so.
So our defending champion is on the ropes here, Tad Schmidt, with a pretty decent lead here now, going up in the 8th and 9th.
Ooh, late trip on the 7.
Looks like Eric Peterson is in our chat room. A little message there for Nick. Must be a friend of yours.
Eric Peterson, yeah, was in from La Crosse, lives in Madison, bowler down there.
Well, thanks for tuning in, Eric. Foundation frame for Schmidt.
Oh,
Inside.
trip 4 again.
But he's got the speed, and the ball isn't fully rolling yet, and he's able to trip out those 4 pins. Well, about all you can do here is try to punch out. 2:03 left for Mills. Wow.
That one, yeah.
I'll have to keep an eye on that lane for when Clayton comes over here.
I think Clayton might be okay with it. Clayton can get a lot faster when he needs to. And it's something, I mean, I'm terrible at getting any kind of speed, and Andy's a little bit better than me, but Clayton's got a whole nother gear that he can go to kind of not see that friction where Andy saw it, where I saw it earlier, even where Tad has seen it to, but kind of got away from it. So I think he'll have a better chance at not being as affected by it on 12, but it will be interesting to watch.
Well, it seems easy in the 10th when
I was just going to say that when it pretty much is doesn't matter, they all go down always. Still going to be another good showing for Andy, though.
Yeah, he'll be frustrated with bowling so well all weekend and then this game, but always kind of the harder part about bowling is you can't, strikes don't mean you threw a good shot. And if you throw a good shot, it doesn't mean you're going to strike. So he's had some bad ones, but for the most part, he threw it pretty good this game, and you've got to take the positives away from it and not dwell so much on the score, which is easier to do on a qualifying on a Saturday.
Yeah.
When you got 8 games to go through. When you got 1 game, you kind of have to have it all go your way. But the good thing about Andy is he won't dwell on it because he's got 6 hours of sleep on the way home.
Yeah.
So he won't. I don't know what dances around his head in his dreams, but I know it's not worrying about this.
it's always a long-running joke is you're the driver, he's a sleeper, that kind of thing.
Not so much even a joke as it's just a fact.
Well, that's enough for Tad. He's gonna move on here to our championship match against Clayton Moore. So we're gonna have a new NDBowling.com Classic champion, and somebody will be taking home the Glenn Haynes Memorial Trophy. Both bowlers in our championship match here will have major titles to their name already. Clayton Moore won the shootout back in 2015, I believe, over Scott Endersby.
And then those years get jumbled up.
And then Tad won the KFYR in 16, so not just major winners, but recent as well. Well, Nick, I don't know if are you gonna be be heading out here soon? Or are you
Yeah,
gonna?
we're going to take off because I think it's supposed to get bad through the cities and lacrosse. So I think we can still beat it home, but we won't take any chances.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
So good luck to you guys getting home. Hopefully.
I only
Make
got
it all
about
the way.
20 minutes to drive. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Oh, you're easy then.
He lives in town. I don't.
Oh, okay. Well,
we
thank
do-
you again
yeah.
for doing all this. Really appreciate it. I mean, it's got to be cool for you guys. I imagine this is growing pretty good. And
Yeah, people love it.
yeah, watching, I mean, friends and family and people you didn't even know that were watching usually get messages when you get back about
Yep.
how much fun it is to watch. So
Yeah, and thanks for joining us again. It's good to have your insight, and hopefully you can make it out here again.
sounds good. We'll do.
All right, thanks. All
Thanks,
right, Nick Heilemann, once again, our champion a couple years ago. Thanks again for joining us. And we're going to gear up here for the championship match. And while we have a moment, once again, like always, I'd like to remind you that Ebonite is the official bowling ball sponsor of NDBowlTV. We do appreciate them supporting us for, 4 years now? So thanks to them. You can join us on social media, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to that YouTube page. That'd be greatly appreciated. And also, you can join us in August at the Midwest Youth Championships in Alexandria. We'll be joined by the Rebel, Tom Doherty. Looking forward to that show. Again, we're in our championship match here, featuring Clayton Moore and Tad Schmidt. Following the completion of this match, we'll talk with our winner, and then we'll be on our way. So, what's your overall thoughts so far on our show?
You know what? I'm honestly a little surprised how it's gone. You know, you think when you see who's here, you know, with Andy and Nick both making it, that all their experience and they're going to run up the ladder, and that hasn't been it at all. It's been, you know, the guys that really are pretty new to this, and you know, they're obviously no strangers. Justin and Tad have both been around and bowled and are as good as anybody else, but you wouldn't, I don't think any of us would have expected this, but it's going to be a good match with Clayton here, I think.
Yeah, it was a lot of David versus Goliath matches, and the guys who were veterans on NDBowlTV ended up on the short side this time. So still good tournaments for them, and finishing up our 2 on each here, and then we'll be underway in our title match. So please share the stream with everyone you know on social media. That'd be appreciated. And what's next for the lacrosse guys? I believe they do the Sean Yonan Memorial Tournament out in Sheboygan. It's usually where they head in a couple weeks. So for all of you out in the Wisconsin area, go check out that tournament. It's for a great cause. Again, Tad Schmidt, Clayton Moore in our final.
Not sure if this favors anybody or not. They both can play pretty similar areas. They have different roles, but it should be a good match.
All right, Tad will kick us off here on 11. Throwing the Storm Sonic still, I think. Ooh. I don't know if he's. I'd be happy that.
Yeah,
six pin
that's
stayed
almost a
up there.
good break. I mean,
Especially when it didn't matter on count in the first frame. So
Clayton says he'd rather have the 310.
yeah, well, not me.
No, I'd chop it regardless, but it's a
No,
good spare. He was probably getting that either way.
Yep.
I almost want to say it looked like Ted either moved right or threw it right, but that was looked like it was a little different line than he had been playing. So
All right.
we'll see what happens.
Here's Clayton Moore. There's that lane 12.
Yeah.
Same kind of reaction Mills got on that lane. Well, frame 8.
He threw, I think, his last ball in practice on that lane. It looked like he firmed up really hard, and he wrapped a big 10 pin in that same pretty much area. But yeah, you slow down just a little bit, and can see what happens there, but easy spare there. From the way the last match went, I think this is going to be a match of who can stay clean.
Looks like a motive paranoia, I believe. Is what he's throwing. Not completely familiar with the motive line of equipment, but I believe that's what he's throwing.
Well, you probably know more than I do about it, so I'll trust you on that.
All right, on the spare.
9 spare, 9 spare, nothing wrong with that to start a game.
Especially when you've been kind of sitting over on the warm-up pair for the last hour or so.
Not quite. That definitely does look like a move right from Tad from where he was at.
I think he thought that fell, because the way he was walking over to lane 11, I think because he turned around when it started to kick, and I think he thought that had fell. So that was pretty close to falling. So,
well, 9 spare, and we're tied up after 2. So, I mean, I wouldn't be too disappointed, but that could have easily gone.
ball's starting to read up early on him.
Well, no, I think he made a move right because he was getting that when he was left. So, you know, he might be in that tricky area where he goes too far left and he doesn't have enough hold in the mids to get it down lane. But if he gets it, you know, he moves right like he is, and that's happening.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what adjustments these bowlers make on the two pair or the two lanes, because the right lane's definitely got something going on around that last rangefinder on the right.
Yep.
Because I know Andy hit it, Clayton hit it, and then things are starting to read up a little bit for Tad, despite the speed that he's got on the ball. So.
It's a ball switch there. That was nice.
Old trusty blue for Clayton Moore. Same ball that he used to win the shootout back in 15. I don't know if it's the same one. It's probably a new drill. I believe it's the same ball. I could be wrong. Again, I'm not too well versed on the motive line, but
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it is a new one, with even if it is the same drilling. But you know, you come out to tournament, you see him with that in his hand quite often.
especially on TV.
That's for sure. Yeah, see, it's rolled up early on that lane too.
And for those of you out there watching, you can go on to YouTube and watch all of our old shows. We have them in our archive. I think we have 30 or so shows now, which is kind of crazy that we've been around that long. So,
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
about five years on NDBowlTV, and we got 4 or 5 shows a year. So 20, 25 shows, and then a few random videos. Going after the spare. Oh,
Not quite, but not out of the match with that open.
Well, we'll see what kind of adjustment Tad's going to make here, because it seemed like he tried to make that move on 11. Didn't work.
I mean, well, we both know from experience of bowling with him, he can move left if he wants to, but, is that the move right now with the way this pair is starting to play? Looks like he's doing that, though.
See, I thought he softened up on that on the hand a little bit on that one and tried to get the ball to push a little further down lane.
It's close. If that's what he did, you take trying to leave 10 pins and maybe kicking him out instead of it's got to slide a little. Instead of going through the nose, and who knows what you can leave.
Oh, looks like our score cam is working just fine, which is nice. Light
There
mixer.
you go. Take that.
Late fall to 5. A little smirk there
Yeah,
for Tad.
right, smile.
5 into the 4.
You take it at this point. I mean, that's 5 clean frames and, a small lead over Clayton. I think he's probably okay with how it's going so far.
Pretty good shot there.
Yeah.
Looks like his laydown was a little further left on that.
Yeah, might have even firmed up a smidge. I think he maybe saw what Tad saw and he decided to make that a little bit of a jump.
Again, we're in our championship match, Clayton Moore versus Tad Schmidt. Get a word with our winner following the conclusion of the match.
Oh, he kicks out the
break.
710.
And it was at K-Fire this year and the year he lost to Matt Smallin in the final. Had a 710 to cost him both times. And so maybe a little reprieve there to kick out the 710 when for a double, big double there for him.
Yep. Much needed, and maybe that'll kickstart the rest of the game.
Pretty good.
It's a good shot from Tad.
And while we have a minute, I do want to send a quick thanks out to Darren Sundstrom and the entire staff here at Sunset Lanes for hosting the NDBowling.com Classic once again. Another well-run tournament, and hopefully we can make a few changes going forward and build on the success we've had. For those of you out there who want to bowl the tournament, just let me know or call Sunset Lanes. First weekend in March, again next year. Tad Schmidt now up in the 7th.
A little right, gonna make it back. Yeah, just a little bit late.
And Sunset Lanes does have a Facebook page that they've been posting the scores on. So if you're interested in the final scores today or yesterday, they do have those posted on their Facebook page. All right, on the spare.
That kind of hit right there. A couple weeks ago, I think, would have fell here. But I know we've got the upcoming North Dakota State tournament here, and they just put the brand new pins in on Wednesday. So you wonder if that kind of hit right there is maybe because of that. But typically, Sunset's a pretty good carry house.
Good shot there for Clayton. Big 3-bagger up on the board now.
about even the match up.
I'd like to thank everyone joining us in the chat room. Looks like Matt Smallin out there. All right, big shot here.
Oh, big carry there, and that's a big four-bagger on the board.
All right, if you're Tad, you got to put up a double here and hope you have a chance come the 10th frame.
You noticed this a couple matches ago when he needed one. He took a little extra time, too.
Got to
A little
push.
left, and sit there. Just enough. Throw a strike on the board here, and I mean, Clayton can still shut him out with a couple more in 9th and 10th, but you know, you're looking at a 230 on the board potentially, and that's a lot to think about.
Goes back to what Nick was saying earlier. You know, if you're just thinking about getting to a certain score, filling frames, it's gonna get you. So it's about staying aggressive and
Yep, absolutely.
gotta have it.
It's another good shot.
Takes me back to the year he won the K-Fire, where in the position round he threw a clutch 260 to
Yep.
jump into the show, and then he ended up running the ladder and winning the tournament. So this guy can throw strikes when he needs to, that's for sure.
Oh, yes.
All right, well, here's another moment. Back in 2015, Clayton needed that to double. It's that championship moment you look for. He's gonna
The
get that.
carry. Yeah, but just a little firm and in maybe.
Yeah,
And
didn't seem like it was in enough of a roll to get the 10 out
Yep.
once it got to the pins.
well, you know, count is everything right here with the spare.
Yeah, because he's leading in the count right now by a pin. So
You throw a double and 9 in the 10th frame after you get the spare, and that still forces a double from Tad. Oh no, he knew it too. The second he left
yeah,
it. You know what though? That sets up a tie possibility too. 3 in the 10th.
Ken Fletcher always on the outlook for a tie.
It's been a while since we've had one, so
That is true. Always on the outlook for a perfect game of baseball after a frame.
usually takes a couple innings before I say something.
Well,
Yeah, got to
big bounce back frame here.
Yeah, I got to regroup and throw a couple here.
Yeah, it's definitely not over.
All right. He's shaking his head a little, but this match is not over by any means.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that the guys that are this talented over and over making shows, making cuts, the title, going to come down to possibly a 10 pin, a spare.
Yep.
Hey, it's the harsh reality of our sport, so.
Well, I mean, how often do you see it even on PBA level? 10 pin decides it.
Mika Koivuniemi comes to mind.
That's exactly where I was thinking.
Gotta have it.
It's got to push a little, you know? Even
Yeah.
this last one here, that's big with count.
You know, with that 4 up there, so. Yeah, a 9 count by Tad on the first ball and counts back to where it is. Again, gotta have it.
It's close. It's a good comeback after that 9th frame, but
Do what you can.
is it going to be enough?
That right there is why you don't miss spares.
Yep, you heard it from him first.
Yep.
That's why you don't miss spares. Well, let's see if that factors in. You know, he would have had 11 more pins if he gets that. So,
Yeah, well, as it is, first strike's a winner. Needs at least a 9 spare strike to tie, though.
big
he
shot. That's
pulled
in.
it. He pulled it and it's set there. Wow. I think he might admit he got away with that, but
Again, clutch.
that's Tad Schmidt.
Tad
from
Schmidt.
Everything I've ever seen from him.
And Tad's wife, Cindy, is over here. She saw the trophy, and she's like, good thing he's got a garage.
We were joking about that earlier. Well, I mean, still needs 5 pins, but I think that's probably a given right now.
Oh, yeah. In 2 balls, I think so.
Yep, there it is. That's your winner.
And Tad Schmidt is going to take home the Glenn Haynes Memorial Trophy, and a guy that probably knows Glenn.
Oh, I don't doubt that one bit. As long as Tad has been around, you know, Glenn is obviously pretty well known around these parts, and Tad with his family in town here, you know, some of his family, I believe, in town, he's got to know Glenn. But
Well, congratulations to Tad Schmidt, who's going to take home his 2nd major title here at the NDBowling.com Classic. So we're going to have a word with him shortly. We can get his attention.
should say that's another nice showing by Clayton. I know he's got to be disappointed, but
I think he's got more runner-up finishes in a major than anybody else.
probably, you know, he's bowled as well as anybody has for quite a while. He just, you know, outside of that CMA a few years back, just tough luck sometimes. But he'll be back. Yeah. Oh, there we got his attention.
Yeah, we'll have a word here with Tad, and we'll cut to our booth cam here where we don't have much for a backdrop since we're trying to get out of here quick. All right, joining us in the booth now is champion Tad Schmidt. Tad, welcome to NDBowlTV. Take us through your match.
It was a tough match, and it hit transition, you know, just when we started. So just when you want to be comfortable, it got screwy. So I had to move at the last minute, and about the 3rd frame, it jumped left again. But then they didn't want to finish either, so it was a tough last game. Yeah.
Yeah, you had a little bit of, I thought, good luck in a way that you had a little bit of speed on the ball. So when your ball did go a little bit in on the oil,
Yep.
you had a good pace through the pins to kick the 4-pin out a few times.
I got lucky with the speed. I did tug a couple. I was about a board inside, and it actually held pocket. And a couple, then when I relaxed and extended it out, it still finished. So I was fortunate that way. It played to my game, but the lane still got squirrely that last game. Yeah.
So yesterday, you were the number. Take us through your qualifying round. Were you nervous at all? Did you think you missed out on the cut, or?
I thought I tanked the cut 7th game when I shot a .52.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we all do that. I did that too.
Yeah, I am too.
Caught a terrible pair in the same transition, and I didn't have the answer for it. And that last game, I wanted to get something going. I only got a 200 on the nose, but I got just enough to make squeak in yesterday.
Yeah, well,
I wouldn't be
it
mad.
paid off for you, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Ken, any final thoughts?
I have one question for you, Tad.
Yep.
Did you pull that last shot, or the first shot in the 10th frame?
I did.
I thought so. I had to ask. No,
I did, but I got it around my hand, and it didn't come off my fingers. It come off fairly flat, so it just kind of floated in
Well,
there.
hey, you know what? Two mistakes sometime work out.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
No,
Tad,
that's good.
congratulations on major number 2.
Thank you.
And
Thanks,
you get to
Darryl.
take home the Glenn Haynes Memorial Trophy,
Sweet.
which, just watch the arms on it, so hold it from there. But there you go. The Glenn Haynes Memorial Trophy is going to Devil's Lake. So congratulations, Tad. We're going to get a picture out on the lane here shortly after I wrap things up. But once again, great bowling, and hopefully we'll see you back next year.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, that about does it for us here at NDBowlTV. Ken, any final thoughts?
You know what? Another great tournament. Another very deserving winner. You know, any one of those 5 guys, I think nobody would have been mad at that, at them winning. But, you know, Tad's been through quite a bit, you know, with Devil's Lake closing. He hasn't been able to bowl as much. And I think this tournament right here just proves how good he actually is. And same thing with Clayton Moore, you know, all those guys. I mean, they're here time and time again. So whoever won today, like I said, nobody's going to be mad about it. But, you know, Tad winning, I think especially for us, that's a little extra bonus,
Yeah.
being a team member with us.
TeamNDBowling.com winning. So, and that'll do it for Darren Cini. I'm in NDBowling.com. I'm Darren Cini alongside Ken Fletcher. Want to remind you that Ebonite is the official bowling ball sponsor of NDBowlTV. You can stay connected to NDBowling.com on Facebook. Hit the like button. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Again, our next show will be in Alexandria at the Midwest Youth Championship, where we'll be joined by the Rebel, Tom Doherty, August 12th. So mark it on your calendars. Again, you're watching NDBowlTV, the High Plains Bowling Network. Saying goodnight to everyone, and please drive safe.